Hello. Hello, I'm walking past a Van Leeuwen in Brooklyn. Things are different today, okay? So I just want to prepare you. I'll sing the song, don't worry. Things are not totally out of sorts. It would sound like that, though, with the car alarm. What's going on with dance and stuff? What's happening with dance and things? What's going on? What's happening? What's going on with dance and stuff? I have no idea any of the pitches I just sang because I was so kind of overwhelmed by that scooter alarm. That was very much the music of my mind. There is a breeze. I'm a little cold. It's after 11 p.m. and I am in Prospect Heights, leaving Russell Jansen's place. We had a dinner soiree, a gay old time, literally a gay old time, with Russell and John Hubiar came by for dinner, and then Russell's roommate Oliver came later, and we discussed being gay in the 80s. I guess I was just a child then, but Oliver could give us some perspective. I also got to harvest blackberries from a huge blackberry bush that was on Oliver and Peter's terrace. And that was a thrill, and I meant to get a picture for Jack because I was harvesting berries into a bowl, which is iconically symbolic of our relationship, a la Melancholia. I'm the sister who fills the bowls, and he's the sister who is distracted and depressed and only can pick a few berries at a time. And then I get to be the sister who dumps those few berries into the basket to make my depressed, distracted sister feel as if she's accomplishing something in this world. I made a list this week, as I'd have a thought. I would write it down in my notes application. And my friend Andrew Wallace yesterday taught me about the reminders application, which I hope to continue using and cultivate skills with my reminders application. I did go to my mom's home in Sag Harbor over the weekend, and I tried to help her learn how to use an iPhone. I won't even go into the details because you can only imagine what that's like, but I think that though I may not have really taught her how to use it, I did help her to set it up, and I think I got her excited about using her Sonos and potentially being able to use it. And, I think I drummed up some enthusiasm, hopefully some interest in continuing to use the phone and, typing without tapping in that way. My mom's very proud that she has such total mastery over knowing that, the letter E is to push the 2 twice or whatever. She's fluent in that phone language. At any rate, I wanted to talk to you this week about jury duty. I did my civic duty a couple weeks ago. I was called to jury duty after I had done a postponement before the pandemic. And then I got called to jury duty. And in this sort of nightmare series of bad luck, I actually ended up in the courtroom. I need to get on the train. Okay, let me cross the street. So after the postponement, I got a letter that said, check in on these days to see if you're one of the lottery jurors who's called on said day. Sorry, I'm getting my mask. I'm descending into the subterranean area. Okay. Okay, so I'll talk quietly. I feel a little self-conscious just talking to my phone down in the subway, you know what I mean? So anyways, I'm down here. Jury duty. So I called the number to let you know whether or not you'd be needed at jury duty. And my number was called, so I said, okay. So I showed up on Monday at 9 a.m. for jury duty. And I went to the holding room and waited quite a while for everyone to get settled. People were arriving 45 minutes late, which I thought, well, at that point, just don't come. You know, that's so late. And eventually, after they'd gone over all the rules with us, this judge came on the monitor and explained to us what the trial was. And it was a sexual assault case in the subway. And so I thought, I really don't want to be on this trial. And eventually they were like, we're going to call 30 names, 24 jurors and 6 alternates, something like that. And I was, in fact, called fairly early on. I got my things together and I went to a different floor and stood in this long line to be called into the courtroom. And I was at the back of the line, and they said, the first 24 people in this line are going to go into the courtroom, and I'm sorry, a train's about to come, I think. Oh no, that was just a truck going overhead, or a car with very loud music. And so I stood in that line, and I didn't have to go into the room because they said, the last 6 of you, why don't you sit on these benches and wait? And if any one of those jurors who's gone in objects or whatever, then you're going to get called in. So after a couple minutes, a man came out and he pointed to us one side of this hallway where some of us were sitting. He said, people on this side of the hallway, come on in, you're needed. So then we were seated alphabetically in these pews, and I'm so sorry. You know what? The train is coming and I'm feeling a little bit perplexed at the moment. So I'm going to pause and I will resume shortly. I'll resume shortly when I get home or off the train. Bye-bye. And we're back. So I got out of the train at Canal Street because I thought it'd give me a little bit of extra time to chat. Obviously, I can continue chatting once I get back home, but I wonder that if some of you like the sounds of New York life as I walk and talk, attempt to think as I walk. Very challenging right now. Anyways, I was talking about jury duty. I sat at a pew, and then they introduced us to the attorneys and the defendant, and I thought to myself, well, you know, he's guilty. I just feel like I'm not here to victim blame, and if a female went through the effort of reporting this man to subway attendants and has gone through the effort of pressing charges, I'm gonna go ahead and have to absolutely believe that something bad happened to her, because, I mean, what a drag to have to go through all of these proceedings, etc., to have lied about something like that seems totally implausible to me. So I felt I'm not the person to be on this jury because my decision's already made, and I haven't heard any of the evidence. I haven't heard anything from the defense. I just thought I'm not fit to be on this jury. And so once they started asking these questions, which I thought was a bit outrageous, the judge would ask a question like, have you ever been the victim of sexual assault? And if you had, you would raise your hand. Oh my God. And you would have to speak into a microphone that a police officer would hand you, or a jury bailiff, whatever. Remember Mole from Night Court? Was that his name? Richard Mole? What was his name? What was the character's name on Night Court? Well, no matter. Did you see that zombie from Pee-wee's Playhouse died? That's sad news. That's someone who, we all loved very dearly from Pee-wee's Playhouse. Mecca like a high, Mecca hiney ho, rest in peace. So, at any rate, I did not raise my hand when they asked the question, have you or someone you're close to been the victim of sexual assault? But many people did, and had to then explain to the judge, why it was or what the circumstances of their assault was, and whether or not it made them feel as if they were unfit to serve on the jury, were going to be biased in some way. So then the judge asked the question, have you been the victim of any other kind of crime or been involved in another kind of criminal case, etc. And I raised my hand and I said, I got the microphone, I said, I've been the victim of a violent crime. I didn't elaborate. I was referring to the punch in the face, as you all know, and though that was not a crime I reported in any fashion, but she said, do you feel as if you would be able to serve on this jury fairly? I said no. And I was promptly dismissed from the case, which was great because that meant my entire jury duty went from about 9 a.m. to maybe 11:30 a.m. over the course of only one day. Now, the judge had prefaced all of this by saying, this trial should be over fairly briefly. I don't imagine it's going to go past Friday. And it was Monday. And I thought, oh my God, if I'm on this jury, I'm going to want to wrap it up in a couple hours. But I guess it's just not how the justice system works. And, I didn't see it through to the end, so I can't speak to what it is exactly, but I am glad I saw what I saw. It was interesting to see the judicial branch of our state government in action. So I say overall, jury duty, positive experience. The way that people honk at each other, it defies logic. They're not honking to say, like, excuse me. They're just honking because they're tired or mad or not even sure what. Oh, just honking. Are you watching Mayor of Easttown? I finished it this week, and wow, I did not know that it was going to be that devastating. I was really taken by surprise, I have to say. Julianne Nicholson was so profound in that last episode in the way that she handled tragedy of, mythological proportion. Ugh, I could cry just thinking about it. It was so insane. I was sobbing. But a very beautiful and nuanced and true performance from Julianne Nicholson. Congratulations. She's a Dance and Stuff listener. What else is on my my list of things. There's a drunkard on a bike. I can't wait for all of you to get to read James Whiteside's book that comes out in August, I believe. It's really an achievement. It is singular in the world of dancer memoir. It's so expansive in the way that it handles the material of his life. It's anecdote, it's humor, it's poetry. It's really beautiful and so funny and so sad. J'adore you, James. J'adore your book. Russell was intending to have Andrew and I over for dinner tonight, but had to take his grandmother to an MRI last night, so it got postponed, which meant that Andrew couldn't come. But it did mean that John Hubiar, who I haven't seen since pre-pandemic, was able to come. And we got to catch up, and I got to French braid his hair. And I still have not yet figured out correct French braiding technique, though I can certainly weave the hair into some kind of knot. I mean, what it always ends up looking like, it seems, is a horse's tail that's been braided for competition. And I guess it might be because those were the very first kinds of hair braids that I got experience with. I don't know if you know this, listeners, but I used to spend my summers when I would go back to stay with my mom, who had newly moved to the Hamptons. You know, my brother and I used to go to Idaho in the summers to stay with my mom's family. My mom would put us on a plane, unaccompanied minors, and we would go out to Idaho and stay with our aunt and uncle and cousin and grandmother, and everybody was out there. And mom would get the summer away from the kids in, hot, awful New York. But, I think it was great for everybody because she got a break. We didn't have to be in the city. We got to have country living for kids. And when my mom moved out to the Hamptons, I'm in the lobby of my building now. You can hear the tiles echoing. I think it's that time of month. Opera News. Who is on the cover? Riccardo Muti. It's a very attractive photo. So, anyways, once my mom moved to the Hamptons, I think we were at this age where it just didn't make sense for us to go out and take up all this space and energy with my aunt, my cousin, etc. And, now my mom was living in the country, and so we could stay with her in the summers. And, it became clear very quickly that we needed to be occupied. And so my job that I ended up getting as I must have been 13, I was a pony camp counselor. And I would help young people learn to ride ponies, and I would help with cleaning and tacking the ponies at this fancy English riding stable called Sag Pond Farm. And I got riding lessons in exchange and a tiny bit of cash, and it was really fun. And I was into the kind of manual labor of it all, and I got some nice little riding boots and maybe even some little jodhpurs to wear for my riding lessons. Now, I certainly never entered into the world of competitive English style riding. I don't have any ribbons to show for my time at Sag Pond Farm, but I did do some trotting and posting and cantering, etc. Anyways, what are we talking about? Summer jobs, Sag Pond Farm, horses. I'm never, ever going to be able to get back to where where we were with this conversation. So I'm now going to just flip over in my apps to my notes. And here we go. Oh my gosh. So, 2 things. First, I'm going to talk about going to B&H to pick up some hard drives. And second, I'm going to talk about voting. Okay. So, I'm now terrified that I'm going to lose all my computer information because I have to graduate from school, and now there's these huge documents, and if I lost them, it would just be like the biggest nightmare in my life. And I have one external hard drive, and most of my things, I believe, are stored in the cloud. I'm pretty sure almost everything or everything is stored in the cloud. Now, for those of you listening who are very organized with your technology life, I don't want you to have anxiety for me. I don't want your sympathy. Now, if you live in the New York or the tri-state area and you wanted to come sit down with me for 8 to 12 hours and organize it for me and explain to me what you're doing along the way, I'd absolutely welcome that. I would cook you meals. I'd braid your hair. We could negotiate a variety of trades that give you a t-shirt. I don't know. But at any rate, I was going to B&H to pick up 2 external hard drives that I ordered online from them. And I got off of the A train at 34th Street, and it was one of those days, it was rainy, and I thought, well, I'll just stay underground and walk as far west as I can. And at that point, oh, no, I know. I was on the 1 train, and then I got off at 34th Street, which meant I definitely had to walk west because I had to get over to 9th Avenue, and I was on 7th Avenue. And so I started walking through Penn Station. And to walk through Penn Station without the goal of getting on a train to go somewhere is a very peculiar experience. And I was really going through all of these subterranean hallways of Long Island Railroad and Amtrak and all the different tracks, etc. And God, you see things that you would never have otherwise seen, because when you're there with intention of getting on a train, you see what you need to see. You see the board and the track you're going to get on and the machine you're getting the ticket from. But when you have no purpose, gosh, you really see a lot, and it's a spooky, spooky experience. But I did end up getting as far west as I could in Penn Station, and I emerged from underground, and I walked past Moynihan Hall, which is suddenly a name I now know for the new Amtrak portion of what was Penn Station or what was the old post office. And I've been in that space once now. I feel weirdly underwhelmed by it. And I suppose that's because I have this sadness and this kind of disappointment around the fact that the old Penn Station, which was a beautiful glass-topped European-style train station, these vaulted ceilings, was torn down because the real estate people wanted to build Madison Square Garden, a blight on the island of Manhattan. And, it's a real tragedy that they demolished that gorgeous train station and built what would become the most anxiety-inducing train station on Earth, which was Penn Station. Now, the old Penn Station seems a bit better than it was in the past because, traffic's greatly reduced since Amtrak's moved over to Moynihan Hall, which does have these vaulted glass ceilings that I'm sure took a lot of engineering, and I'm sure some architecture firm is very proud. But I have to say, the surfaces and the kind of style choices of that hall are not so chic. It's not a chic thing. But I digress. Someone's disagreeing with me out there, but it's an upgrade. It's not so great. Meow, meow, meow. what are we talking about? Tron stations, B&H. I picked up my hard drives. Now, I've never been into B&H. I didn't know that it was some like weird Willy Wonka world of electronics. I didn't know that there was going to be, tubs of computer monitors whizzing around on a series of roller coaster tracks specially designed for these tubs. It was it was unexpected, to say the least. Okay, so that was one thing. I was going to talk about my trip to B&H. Voting. So this week was the mayoral election, amongst other elections in New York. And that morning, gosh, was that the morning I got the hard drives? I think that was hard drives morning. Wow, this is all one day. So after hard drives, I came back downtown because I had to go to my polling site, which was on Morton Street this time. And I didn't know who to vote for because there's many, many choices and it was ranked voting and I just hadn't done my research. So I called Jeremy and I thought, Jeremy will know. Jeremy will have read the newspaper. He's going to know who to vote for. And I said, Jeremy, who do I vote for in this election? He said, oh, well, I'm not there. So I don't really know. I haven't done the research so much. And so I thought, oh, God, so I can't vote this morning. What am I going to do? And time was limited because I had to get to studio because I was in the middle of this school project I was doing with Harriet and Pam, which is going well and is, I think, going to be great. But I then had a discussion with Pam and Harriet at work, but I was I called Russell. I said, Russell, who do I vote for? Now, Russell was absolutely prepared. He said, I've looked up my candidates I want through the working family. I shouldn't be telling you this because, voting is private. So I'm not going to tell you who he chose. But at any rate, I thought, I'm going to go ahead and trust Russell. And I'm also going to take some advice from Pam and Jeremy. And I kind of did a little bit of reading. And I went and looked up what the Working Families Party was about and who they were endorsing, etc. And then I, after work, went to my polling site, where it was at this point probably 7:30, 7:45. Nobody was there. I mean, a handful of people. Anyways, I voted in a semi-informed way, though I was madly looking through my phone to get the names of people as I was doing this ranked voting. Do you wear those voting stickers when you did it? I was thinking about that. I thought, God, everyone's always bragging about how they voted. But then I thought, oh, it's also a good reminder to everybody to go vote. So I didn't put on my sticker because it was already the end of the voting day. But I feel like in the future, going forward, I am, in fact, going to put my sticker on, at least on my backpack or a cap or something. Okay, so that's voting. Any dance news this week? I saw some very encouraging news via Instagram that P&B has hired a young person who, I don't know that they identify in their social, personal life as gender non-binary, but as a ballet dancer, they identify as non-binary in the roles that they perform. And this person is equally gifted in sort of men's requirements or men's physicality and women's, these are in quotations, by the way, I'm quote fingers, women's, because we all know gender's a construct, women's vocabulary in ballet, meaning point work, etc. And, in celebration of their recent hiring into the Pacific Northwest Ballet Company, this person posted absolutely exquisite video of them doing the Harlequinade variation, the female variation from Balanchine's Harlequinade, and it was just, I just wept watching it. I thought, this is actually hope for the future of ballet. That there can be gender non-binary dancing and a person of color being hired into Pacific Northwest Ballet under the pretense that they will be performing both male and female roles. I thought that is exceptional, and hopefully we will be seeing more of that so that ballet can move into the future. So that's some good news. The bad news, however, was that unfortunately they let go a very gifted soloist, Leah Merchant, who just gave birth. And I thought, wow, that's very inhumane. And she is one of the dancers who, in my experience of costuming dances at PMB, was just really exceptional. So it was sad to see a story like that. So I'm of two minds about hiring and firing there at the moment. And obviously I don't work there outside of being a freelance costume designer, so I don't know the whole story, but I'm making assumptions, and I'm having feelings, and that's still valid. I spoke to my friends Garrett Anderson and Courtney Wright Anderson on FaceTime a couple nights ago. We started way too late. I mean, they're 2 hours earlier, Mountain Time in Boise, and I stayed up till, are you ready for it? 3 a.m. And we were talking. And I got the whole scoop on Ballet Idaho and how they've survived the pandemic, and the dancers have received pay raises during this time, which is so crazy. And they did 10 new creations digitally or on video during the pandemic, which I thought was just so amazing for a small company in Boise. And I just think it's like, I think it's actually, you would think that to be the director of a company like that would be a harrowing experience. A company with very little resources and not a huge amount of interest in a city without a huge amount of interest in ballet, but it's actually an amazing opportunity. I feel so proud of my friend Garrett, who was my roommate when we were at ballet school in Seattle, but he's doing a great job and also raising 3 small male children at the same time. Biologically male, I should say. We'll see how that turns out. But I did ask Courtney at a certain point, because, she was regaling me with stories about the kids, and I said, do you ever contemplate murdering your children? And I started thinking about that absolutely crazy documentary series on Netflix that I believe was called American Murder, where that guy murders his whole family because he got a hot body and wanted to be in a relationship with someone else from Orange Theory or Barry's Boot Camp or whatever it was that was, organizing his body. That absolutely haunting documentary got me to thinking about, difficult children. And I thought, wow, it's hard to be a parent. And Courtney said she does not, in fact, contemplate murdering her children, though she does contemplate other kinds of punishment for them. And, though, Courtney's a very gentle and kind mother. Wow, it's so late. What time is it? I don't know. I've only been recording for 34 minutes, but I think it's going to have to be a short one this week because I don't have any more steam left in me. I am leaving for school this weekend, and then I think the whole nature of this podcast will shift a bit. I think I will start interviewing my classmates, hopefully, which will be fascinating because I am at school with an extraordinary group of individuals. And those conversations should be more generative than this gobbledygook that I just pushed out of my weary body into my iPhone 7. I would tell you that I've been watching things, but I honestly cannot even make it through a YouTube video. I've been passing out. Oh. Last night I was passing out during a Lizzie Chi video, and then I finally roused myself and managed to shower and get back in bed. And then I said, I want to watch an episode of a plot-driven program. And I looked on Netflix, and I think the number 2 show in America right now is something called Manifest. I'd never heard of it. I just read the little description. It sounded kind of like paranormal, and I thought that sounds fun. So I turned it on. It is, I mean, I've only watched 2 episodes, but it seems to me it's Christian propaganda on a major network. I believe it's probably ABC or CBS, but wow, I understand that this nation is majority Christian. I know that. But to have a show about a magic disappearing plane and then have it be about Christian stuff, I just thought, can this just be about magic, please? Anyways, I've really so enjoyed talking to you today. That's not actually true. It's been fun at points during this past 35 minutes, but it's also been a struggle. And now I'm going to have to put this onto the computer and, change it from this kind of audio file to audio file. Okay, that's it. Shador, I'll see you next week. It's gonna be better. It's gonna be better. I'm so sorry. It's gonna be better. I love you. Bye.